The 1-900 Wrestling program is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/1900wrestling. Get access to our patron-only Discord and enjoy the sweet Valhalla that it is to have a pleasurable experience live commenting about wrestling. Free yourself. You treat yourself to getting out of the hellscape that is Facebook groups and Reddit and enjoy live wrestling the way it was meant to be enjoyed with friends. That is patreon.com/1900wrestling. But enough of talking about how we support the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
I want you to call me for all of wrestling's latest news and views. I've been around in wrestling for 35 years, and nobody knows wrestling like me. Remember the number 1-900 Wrestling.
Stupid idiots.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 1-900 Wrestling Podcast. My name is Justin Robert Young. Joining me, as he always does, live from Austin, Texas, it is your friend and mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big warm welcome to William Dills Gregory. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. It's good to be here. Good to see you on a Wednesday. That's weird.
Yeah.
But that means we've had, not only have we had the 2 days to, just let it sink in, the amazingness that was Fastlane. Or whatever, another pay-per-view happened that was Fastlane.
I mean,
but also we've had
Fastlane was kind of dope, right? Can we agree that Fastlane was kind of dope?
I mean, the wrestling matches were great. There was just not a lot there, but the wrestling matches themselves were great, right?
Well, wait a minute. Hold on.
We are in the last little bit here before WrestleMania. So, okay, the wrestling matches were great. I knew what was going to happen in every single one. That's why it felt a little bit like, okay.
Well, did you know? So you were expecting Asuka to come out?
I didn't know about the Bludgeon Brothers.
Did you know about the Bludgeon Brothers?
Only surprise of the night.
I'm telling you, there were two major surprises. Asuka coming out and officially setting up that WrestleMania match.
No, I called that. Remember? When we were doing our predictions, I said, I think what's going to happen is we're getting Asuka Charlotte. That's what's going to get set up. Charlotte's winning, and Asuka's going to, and then that's the match that's going to end up happening.
All right.
I didn't know she was going to come out right then.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a big. It was like, oh, okay, yeah.
But that was a moment. That was a bit of a moment, right?
Yeah, it was cool. It was definitely cool. Asuka, like, the coolest thing about Asuka is just her coming out. I don't know, like her entrance and everything, like about like her like swag, right?
Yeah.
And look, and I'm not like gonna crap on the entire show because the wrestling in it was amazing. Like
it was really good. I'll tell you what, maybe it's AJ. AJ just needs to be in these like 6-man matches that are just total clusters. But like, I guess maybe it was just the people that were in it, that between Zayn, Owens, and AJ and Cena, those four, just throw them in a ring and they're gonna make magic, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, everything about that match was just fun as hell. But the result was pretty much exactly what we all expected. Like, I think that was the thing that made it all feel like a little bit like you just wanted some surprises, you know? You wanted to feel like, okay, am I going to get swerved going into WrestleMania? Is it not going to be the match I thought it was going to be? Is there going to be something different? And then at the end of the show, I was like, oh, no, it's all the things that we thought it was going to be. Okay, so we're getting... And that's partially my own fault.
Yeah.
Because I read what's going on behind the scenes and stuff rather than just watch the show.
Well, because because to get a swerve, that's where kind of the comical Vince Russo kind of idea sort of comes from, right? Is that, sure. Everybody knows that we've been setting up Shane versus Sammy and Kevin, right?
Yeah.
So let's swerve it and have Sammy actually win the title and have Sammy versus Nakamura or something. Like,
sure,
or like, because everybody knows that it's AJ versus Nakamura. Let's swerve them at the last second. And ultimately the problem is you're going to get the surprise, but you don't necessarily get the build, the satisfying kind of crunch at the end. And ultimately, Willie, I'm going to say this. we went to WrestleMania last year. This is a better card.
It's a pretty good, yeah, it's going to be a really good card. I'm hoping that they're not going to have, the 15 matches or whatever. I feel like right now we're, at a pretty good spot, and then we'll have some cool, fun stuff.
We're going to get 15 matches.
I know.
Like, there's going to be 15 matches, and none of them are going to get at the time that they deserve. There's just going to be so much there that it will be hard to parse. But what is there is kind of amazing. I mean, we're now officially as set up on SmackDown last night, Kevin versus Sammy, with God knows what else sprinkled on top with Shane. They injure Shane. Shane also announces that due to his actions at Fastlane, he is now taking an indefinite leave of absence as the commissioner of SmackDown. So you assume that he is going to make his presence felt at WrestleMania in that match, either as a referee or as a participant, most likely.
Probably a participant, yeah.
We haven't seen Daniel Bryan in a while. That was always the big thing, was that maybe Daniel Bryan was going to work himself into that. That looks kind of less likely unless they're keeping his powder dry until they make a big announcement. Although the Lord our God, Dave Meltzer, has not seen that in his tea leaves. He believes that Daniel Bryan is definitely out. But on the other end, look, Asuka versus Charlotte legitimately is the biggest, most impressive women's match in history, right? Like, has there been a bigger, more look forward to women's match ever?
I mean, possibly back in the days of, Trish Stratus and like that.
And Lita.
I wasn't around. I wasn't paying much attention. So I don't know how hyped up those matches were. But generally at WrestleMania, it seemed like it was always a triple threat for the Divas title. And it was kind of a match that nobody cared about. That's how it always seemed anyway, when I watch old WrestleManias.
I mean,
that's not how this match is going to go down, for sure.
You could make the argument.
Hyped up.
Yeah.
And people are going to be into it.
You could make the argument that Trish and Lita were bigger stars.
Sure.
But I don't think even they would say that they would be able to do something that's even on par with the level of wrestling that we're going to see in that Charlotte versus Asuka match.
We're going to get some, incredible athleticism from Charlotte. We're going to get the brutality of Asuka. Like, that match is going to, they could do like a 35, 40-minute match. They could, those two. I would like to see a longer women's match, actually, between the two of them. Like, I would like to see that match get some time.
I think we're going to get the longest women's match in WrestleMania history. I think that they are going to showcase it. It is going to be a big deal. That is, of course, damning with faint praise a little bit because, in general, they don't normally go. All right. Let's move on to some of the controversial stuff that happened. This has kind of lit the internet on fire over the past few days. On Monday, the WWE announces that I don't know if it's going to be in addition to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but there will be a Mae Young Memorial Battle Royal, a similar idea. Performers from all through NXT and both rosters will be eligible. But the controversy is that Mae Young, you scratch that surface a little bit, Willie, and you get some pretty ugly stuff that is pretty verifiable through first-person interviews and reporting throughout her life, up to and including not only really shady business practices, keeping other women who she was training down, including most probably notably the Wendy Richter squashing, basically, but also some really seedy stuff, including pimping out women to other people. Did you not know? You just
not that.
You need to watch. If you are only listening on audio, then please go back and watch the video as Willie just got snapped out of Moolah. I don't mean Mae Young. Mae Young was fine. Moolah was the issue. It is going to be the Moolah Invitational. The rumor is, and this is not so much rumor, the women who have been involved in it, including Luna Vachon, which, goddamn, what of a tough old bitch she had to be to pimp out Luna Vachon.
I I mean, I heard basically, yeah, that I mean, this is not somebody that I have, gone through and looked all of her history at, right? But you just kind of hear when you're reading on the internet and things like that, like didn't she hold the title for like the longest time? Any women ever hold the title? But she basically like Hulk Hogan'd her way into that, like refused just to drop it ever, and was just like, no, I'm just not gonna. It was like she just kind of forced her way into holding that title for that amount of time. Yeah, and basically everyone was just too scared to, stand up to her.
Well, and as Wendy Richter was one of the biggest stars in the company, in large part because of the rub that she got from, what's her butt? Girls Just Want to Have Fun. What's her name?
Cyndi Lauper?
Cyndi Lauper. When Cyndi Lauper was the rock and wrestling element of the WWF,
that's right, yeah.
It was Wendy Richter that was on that rocket ride up with her, and then Moolah kind of cuts the legs out of her and just holds that title forever. But no, I mean, look, Google Sweet Georgia Brown, Fabulous Moolah. Like, there's a lot of stuff, and there are people talking now about some of the ugly stuff that she did in her past. I don't think it's necessarily a shock that WWE did this, but it is, just bad publicity in a spot that really the only reason why you put her name there is so you can talk about Fabulous Moolah, right? That was what the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is like. I remember listening to interviews with like Hulk Hogan, who was like the ambassador for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and he was literally just there to tell Andre stories.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm actually, I just did like one quick Google.
Yeah.
And this article comes up where they're talking about, like she would send other women wrestlers to like the Booker's hotel rooms late at night.
Yeah.
Oh geez, yeah, this sounds terrible. Oh my God. Like that the women would just understand that there was extra services if they were going to get their money for their wrestling event. That's crazy, man. What the hell?
I mean, not to mention some very heavily implied, she would, like some Harvey Weinstein stuff. Like, hey, sure, if you want to advance, me and you got to have a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were having, I was hanging out with Trey last night. We were talking about this kind of stuff. It just kind of came up randomly, and we started kind of talking about things. But a lot of times, it's not like your gender that like gets people to be this way. It's power, man. Like power corrupts, right? I mean,
well, and if you look at what the role that Fabulous Moolah operated in that time, best to my abilities as somebody who was only going back and reading through the history, is that she basically just became the subcontractor for these bookers.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, women draw a certain amount. This is a good thing. Moolah can train them. Moolah will bring them to us, and she'll tell us which ones are good. She'll tell us which ones are bad. She'll determine who's going to wrestle who, and we can just subcontract out the ladies to her. And that basically put her in a position where she could make and break careers for an entire fucking gender.
Yeah. I mean, so then everybody basically had to just allow this to go on, right? And otherwise you don't have a career. And that's when you think about the Weinstein stuff, that's basically what was going on. It's like, well, and then the people who know about it can't say anything because they want to have a career. Right?
Sure.
So then it's like a whole crazy cycle of just insanity. That's so this is what's interesting is now she's not around anymore. What person at WWE says, yeah, we should definitely be honoring this person, or do they kind of try to, well, because like with Benoit, like they basically pretend he never existed, right?
Yes.
And I mean, this isn't necessarily that, obviously, but man, I would think you'd want to just not reveal any of the deep, dark underbelly of the wrestling biz anymore, right? It's got to be a little bit more family friendly.
Well, yes.
It's like Vegas. Vegas tries to hide that what it used to be, right?
Well, I don't know. Vegas is an interesting case because Vegas sort of kind of like half wears it on its sleeve, right? It's like we're dangerous and fun, and don't worry, like there's secrets here.
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but there's certain places where they don't want you to know what the hell used to be going down.
Absolutely. Oh no,
Like
no, no.
when you're on the strip these days, it doesn't feel like the mafia has anything to do with anything.
No. The Mafia would even the Mafia would spare you the 18 guys trying to slap together cards and hand you a flyer
Sure.
for a titty bar. Here's my understanding of how WWE tries to handle this stuff. If it's in the mainstream press, they don't want to touch it. So they kind of assume, and this is for them tricky waters that they have been trying to navigate, not only with their booking, but also with their fans for years now, to understand that there is a base level of understanding that is so much more, that is so much greater than it has ever been before, but also that mainstream outlets are paying attention to that audience. Mainstream outlets are doing the Meltzer thing, right? They are giving the inside track kind of stories like the Forbes and Complexes and everything, Sports Illustrateds of the world. Basically anybody that WWE is like quote unquote or is breaking quote unquote, that WWE is leaking information so they can say, oh, Jeff Jarrett's a Hall of Famer. All those outlets, by and large, 24/7 cater to the mega hardcore fan who knows a lot more than they used to about the history of this business and the people that comprised it. So the real shocker to me is that I thought that when they named the Mae Young Classic, they understood we got to stay a fucking way from Moolah because we can't have, in the middle of us trying to make all these other women so much more powerful and awesome, everybody asking, why do you have a pimp's name on here? Right?
That I think is a huge point to make, is the fact that right now is the women's revolution and all of these things are being pushed as the first ever. We're giving the women the exact same treatment essentially as the men. And, the Royal Rumble, there's not just a men's Royal Rumble anymore. Like, and this seems to be the direction they just want to head permanently, right? That there's always going to be basically the same thing for the women and the men's divisions. And that's massive and great. And then this is an odd move, I guess, to not go ahead and distance yourself from basically like the way it used to be, right?
All right.
She was part of the problem back in the day.
WrestleMania Day. Is that Battle Royal called the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal?
You know what? Okay, there's been a couple of times where this kind of stuff has happened, and WWE has definitely listened to the people who are complaining. Bill DeMott was like maybe the most recent example, right? Where when stuff started to come out, suddenly he was not working there anymore, right? Yeah. And then I guess maybe JBL, but I mean who knows if that was really all because of people complaining or if it was just
that was also a weird different thing. Yeah,
but he slowly worked his way out, right? And he's not necessarily out, he's just not on television anymore. But that kind of stuff I think has more of an effect now, whereas if you think about maybe like the 80s and the 90s and stuff, if people were complaining about wrestling, they were just like, whatever, man. Like they didn't really.
Well, unless you were reading,
go on TV and just be like, nah, it's fine. Like, no, I will sue you. It's a little different now. There's a lot more people with their hand in the pie, right? So
again, look, unless you were reading the news scripture of the Lord our God, Dave Meltzer, and his Weekly Observer, then you didn't know. Like this was not catered to. This was not created at the velocity that is happening for it right now. I think that there is a very good chance that between now and then, enough calls from reporters start to get made to Stamford about why is this woman's name on here, and we just have the women's battle royal, like that we just scrap it.
Also, it makes sense why they wanted to have a name attached to it, because they're trying to do the parallel of
the arm bar.
The arm bar, yeah. But yeah, they could just scrap that completely, or they could call it, they could find some other woman who's not Mae Young, and they could do that if they really want to. But I think, it's going to be that. It's going to be sponsors maybe saying, hey, what's up with this? Is this something we really want our name attached to?
Yeah.
That kind of thing is going to start happening, and that's going to be the thing that pushes pressures the situation a little bit. Give me 1 second here. My dog is freaking out. One second.
All right.
I'm gonna put him in his crate.
What we will talk about as we go forward are some of the other matches here at WrestleMania, including that Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. How many times have they spun up this fucking feud and everybody has broken their knees squatting so fast to try and shit on it? It has been run back and forth so many times. They've tried to sweeten it. They've tried to change our direction on what we should feel. They got Roman over once to win the championship over Sheamus by bringing in Vince McMahon. They are now pulling out all the stops so you do not take a gigantic shit on the face of Roman Reigns. Here is what they are doing. Let's break down this angle. They are now making Brock Lesnar the absolute shit heel by doing the one thing that I think is really smart. Look, Stephanie McMahon got a lot of shit a couple weeks ago because she said that nobody listens better to her audience or to his audience than Vince McMahon. And that was met generally with a lot of sneers as like, well, what the fuck? He doesn't listen to what I want. Why Super Cena? Why Roman Reigns? But I believe that Vince is absolutely listening, because what he's doing now is taking the one legitimate claim about Brock Lesnar, that he's boring. He does the same thing over and over again. As good as Paul Heyman is, we've heard this fucking promo a million times, and he's just not there. He's not there to interact. And effectively, this feud is being built with all that in mind. They are running Roman Reigns against a complaint about angst about Brock Lesnar, which is knowledge of what people think about him. And they're just saying, no. Roman's the guy who's saying what you think and will solve the problem at WrestleMania when he becomes the Universal Champion. Do you think that this feud is being booked better than it has in the past?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, this is if they really wanted to do what they want to do with Roman Reigns, right, which is have him be the biggest star in the company, the biggest full-time star in the company for sure. And it's very clear that that's where they envision him to be, right?
Yeah.
Then, yeah, they need to do stuff like this. They need to have him be, like the voice of the fan, right? And I think for a long time, one of the problems that people had with him, because it, like you've said this before, and I think you're right. It's not his wrestling. His wrestling is fine. There was a time when
really
you complained that he didn't have a lot of moves, but he still put on good matches. You could definitely complain. Like I would say my biggest complaint when it comes to wrestling with him is that he kicks out of like finishers more than anybody else, and like maybe just don't have him take all the finishers, right? Like,
yeah.
Because that sometimes looks a little ridiculous. Like, oh, why does he get to kick out of it and nobody else can? Like that kind of stuff. You're like, okay, but it's certainly not the matches, because the matches have all been great. So, what's the problem? Why is it that people aren't liking him? And I think it's just because his character is one of like indifference. He acts like he's better than everybody, and he doesn't care about what anybody thinks. And I don't think that resonates with a lot of people, right? As the biggest star, the people that the guy they want to root for.
Yeah.
Suddenly now he's acting like, no, I care the most. And by the way, all accounts from behind the scenes is that he cares the most about wrestling as a business, right? But has been portraying this character who just, the fans boo me. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. Like what, it's like, maybe if he was a little more vulnerable as a character, maybe if he was a little more, and like here he's like, on our side, right? And Brock is like the douche who can't even show up when he's booked on Raw. And then you got a little bit of like the Daniel Bryan thing going on where he calls Brock out and then he gets suspended, right?
Yeah.
And that's a fantastic way to book that, I think, because like now you're, like, I'm the one who's here for WWE, and oh my God, WWE is like holding me back now.
Well, and
that's the thing that we've all been not feeling. We just feel like they're shoving him in our face. If we felt like he was being held back a little bit, and he was acting like he cared about wrestling, and then you watch the match and you were like, not having this bias against this human being, right?
Yeah.
Not then, or this character, not the human being, but the character. Like then, people might be on his side. This might actually be the way to turn that, dude. I've been really enjoying it so far, and I'm liking him way more right now than. And I'm not even a Roman hater, right?
Yeah.
And I'm liking this character way better. So yeah,
I think
totally.
this build is great. They're kind of doing the they're doing the Rock Cena thing, where it's
Sure.
Cena is like, no, you're a part timer. You are an affront to the lifestyle that I live and all the sacrifices that I've made, and that it offends me. It offends me that you were able to moonwalk in here and just take the top spot while everybody else is busting their hump 365 days a year in this business. So I think it's been done really, really well, and I'm actually really excited to see it. But there is another gigantic feud that has been set up here. And this was over the pay-per-view and Smackdown last night, and that is the Bludgeon Brothers living up to their name in terms of wreaking unholy havoc on the
dude, I
tag
thought
team division.
that was so. I'm all for a post-match beatdown, but that looked really dangerous. What they were doing.
Well,
I was like, so the New Day and the Usos signed up for this because it looks like they're just trying to murder them all. But okay.
Yeah,
I guess it was just a really well done post-match beatdown.
it was a mid-match beatdown, right? They just
Sure.
came out
Well,
and
I mean, at that
squashed
point,
him.
the match was over.
Yeah.
When because they called it no contest. By the way, looking at the Fastlane predictions, in last place, only because he chose Junkyard Dog, who wasn't even in the match for the tag match. We're gonna put Mikey TV.
Oh, Mike TV,
but
yeah.
Technically, he was tied with you at 3 correct picks, and me and Trey both tied at 4 because we got Carmella in the opening match. But the Usos and the New Day match, that was supposed to decide the winner, but then we got a no contest there. So
you know what?
So the Bludgeon Brothers, screwed me out of another. Not just the New Day out of a title. They screwed me out of a title.
Yeah, sure.
I'm a little upset.
Well, look, I think that this is a great opportunity for the New Day to kind of turn a little bit of a corner character-wise. That they're always going to be great at being fun and silly, but Big E fired up is really
God,
good.
He's the best.
And having an Uso out and a New Day member out, and having them now having to work together, but in a very serious, like, I gotta take this guy. We have to overcome the odds, #odds, to retain these championships or whatever, or win these championships is just great. I think it's going to be an amazing match. Everybody in that match is awesome. They are all at the top of their game.
So wait, so is it now just going to be a straight up triple threat tag match?
This is going to be the triple threat WrestleMania. We got a triple threat for the IC title. We got a triple threat for the US title. It looks like a triple threat for the SmackDown tag titles, and quite possible triple threat grudge match between Shane McMahon and Kevin and Sammy.
Cammy.
Yeah, as AJ was struggling. The one thing he couldn't get over was Cammy.
So, yeah, I mean, the end of SmackDown would definitely suggest that Shane is going to be involved in that match more than just the referee, right? Because he took the beat down as well. Basically, this is a funny thing, and I guess we'll talk about. You know what? We'll save it. We'll talk about this for the philosophical segment because I'm curious to know your thoughts on a few things.
Well,
how much time do we have left right now?
We got about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and get into one more thing that happened on Raw, as Itizzle Smash brings up in our Twitch chat. Of course, you can always watch us, twitch.tv/JustinRYoung. Schedule's bouncing around lately, but we'll settle down. You'll be able to find him. Itizzle Smash asks about the one man who now will apparently meet the bar by himself at WrestleMania, a 1-on-2 situation. Braun Strowman against the bar. I kind of feel like he is going to get a tag team partner, and I kind of feel like that tag team partner's name will rhyme with Elias, but it is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Are you a fan of one Braun Strowman squashing the entire tag team division?
You know what I'm not a fan of? I'm not a fan of the people who come out and say that when somebody loses a match or gets beat up that they got squashed. Like,
Sure.
it's fine. That tag team's fine. Braun's a monster among men. This is he's supposed to be able to beat up multiple guys. Like, this is why it's like supposed to be crazy that, you know, Brock Lesnar can beat him or you know, Roman Reigns actually goes against him. Like, this makes them huge. He should be doing stuff like this. I love it. Like, yeah, he should be murdering multiple people every single time he comes out. He should just be causing carnage everywhere he goes. People should just be scared as hell. And, yeah, this segment itself didn't really do anything. I didn't like, you know, the top guys coming out at Raw 25 and getting manhandled by a bunch of old timers. That, I think, is like a legitimate, you know, you're getting buried
but
here.
Even then, they lost to a current tag team, and
Sure.
then after the match, ate all the finishers.
But I mean, like, I don't like when they just make like one of the up and coming teams look dumb. I don't like that. But this wasn't that to me. This was just Braun is an unstoppable force, right? And
and it was in a battle royal. It wasn't like he pinned everybody. He just threw them over the top rope because he's gigantic.
Did John Cena buried the other 5 guys when he AA'd every single one of them at the beginning of the match in Fastlane? It's like, no, that's what happened at that portion of that thing. Like, it's fine. Like, all those guys in those tag matches, to me, I already feel like there's a reason why you're in a tag team, not a singles wrestler, right? Is because you need a partner. Like, that's kind of like how you feel about tag teams, right? And then when somebody elevates themselves back to a singles wrestler, it's like, yeah, you're elevating out of the tag division kind of thing. And yeah, tag matches are super fun because there's like so much that goes on and lots of interesting dynamics there. But yeah, I always kind of think of the tag division as below the singles division.
And then you share something in common with Vince McMahon, who loves nothing more than 2 gigantic singles stars holding the tag team titles.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, every time you get like Seth Rollins plus whoever, or, you know, then it's like, oh, well, they're going to win. You know?
Yeah. Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold and Mankind, The Rock and Mankind.
Doesn't matter how good you are as a tag team. These 2 guys are just better individually. And put them together, they add up to a higher team. Yeah.
What do you think the name's going to be for an Elias Strowman tag team?
Do you really think that's what's going to happen?
Well,
I kind of want it to be 1-on-2, man. I want the handicap match. I think that's...
They made sure to kind of keep Elias fresh. They didn't coming off the Symphony of Destruction. They kind of gave him even a little pity because he couldn't even do his song. He just sort of left with his tail between his legs. So now, if Kurt Angle comes out and says, "Listen, Braun, you can't go, you know, in a handicap match," and then all of a sudden pan over, like, I feel like that's something that people would be here for.
Okay, here's if I were booking it, I'm going to have Braun face them in a handicap match for the straps.
Yep.
He wins the tag team titles at WrestleMania.
Okay.
He is now the tag team champion.
He just Braun by himself.
Just Braun. Yeah. He just wears them both, you know, and then we have like, you know, a good like 5-6 month run.
Oh, him?
He's just destroying.
No, he's got to drop him quick. He's got to drop him quick, you know, because if he
no, I think he should have a record breaking run as the tag team champion.
That's it. He just owns them.
Yeah. You could never. I think he should start collecting all the belts too while he's at it. He should have them. Next thing you know, he's the IC champion. He's the US champion. Then he starts going after the Universal. He becomes the first ever galactical champion. In the WWE.
He says, "I have to return to my home planet so I can."
I think we should start giving him a Thanos angle where he's trying to collect stones of power.
Yeah.
And then he's got a giant gauntlet and he just destroys everybody with it.
Phil 87Z suggested Symphony of Destruction be the name. Here's
that's
my
pretty
pitch.
good, actually.
Here's
yeah.
my pitch. Monsters of Rock.
I mean, Elias can't work with Braun. Braun just bashed him over the head with a stand-up bass like 3 weeks ago.
I mean, but that's normally. Wait, how have you watched wrestling? That's how wrestlers become friends.
That's true. Yeah, he's like, man, when you hit me over the head with that bass, I knew one day we were supposed to be together.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the best would be his Mixed Match Challenge tag team partner, Alexa.
Well, see, this is the beauty of it. Is like at some point he's got all the belts, he's got this gold gauntlet, and then he's just carrying Alexa Bliss in his other arm as he comes to the ring, and that's just Braun Strowman.
All right, real quick.
I'm just saying, push Braun Strowman not to the moon, to
Mars,
to
Mars,
a galaxy
to the outer belt.
Yes, the outer rim, exactly. Send him on the Kessel Run. Push him that far, that fast.
One question more. They set up Alexa Nia Jax on Monday by having Alexa talk after having a real heart-to-heart with Nia, saying that she loves her. Surreptitiously recorded backstage audio and video of her talking crazy shit, including some body image stuff, calling her big and fat and how she only wants to walk in her wake. Is that too far?
I mean, that's her character. She's the mean girl, right? But yeah, I mean, it is in a world where they push like the Baileys and things on us, trying to make the girls feel good.
Yeah.
It's, it comes across possibly that way. I'm sure there was some people watching who were not very happy with that segment, but I think it really just sets up a great, I would like to see Nia pound her into the ground and win. As much as I love me some Alexa Bliss, I think it's time. It's time to give Nia the belt.
Give Nia a run.
Yeah. And also, I like the idea of Nia as a face. I actually do. I think she would make a great one because she has this. They talked about as she was kind of coming up as a younger woman, and she was playing sports and things like that. She was like not allowed on certain teams because she was like hurting other girls because she was so big. Yeah, and I guess she was kind of clumsy and she hadn't kind of figured out her giant body yet. And then like wrestling was like the answer, right? Like you could really bring that kind of angle forward,
bring a physicality
and make her,
to it.
Like a really sympathetic babyface. This is like she finally found where she belongs, right? And she hasn't gotten like any real success, even though they present her as the monster of the women's division. She hasn't had any real success.
Never a title, not a single title to her name, not in NXT, not in WWE.
Does she ever even win at like pay-per-views? She wins on like Raw and SmackDown and stuff, but I don't even know if she's ever won on a pay-per-view. So, yeah, I think it's time. She's put in work.
I love who said it. The Elias Braun tag team would be the These Hands band, which I am all in on. I am already just pre-buy me the shirt for the Hands band. The
Hands band. Wow.
No, These Hands. These Hands band.
Okay. Sure.
Amazing. But you want to know what? Let's stop talking about what just happened, Willie, and let's go ahead and get into our philosophical question of the week, where Professor Willie Dills brings us not only inside the beautiful art known as professional wrestling, but also how it reflects on our lives today. Willie, what is our lesson today in our philosophical question?
Well, there's lots of times where during the course of one's life you think about your own mortality. And I think even as a race, we think about, how is all of this going to end, right?
Sure.
Usually people talk about global warming, or if we go long enough that it gets to the point where the sun blows up, which is like billions of years from now.
Yeah.
So that's what people usually answer. Now I could answer, Justin, how do you think that wrestling will end up going the way of the dodo?
How will
I don't
pro
think
wrestling
will.
die?
What's that?
Is that the question? How will pro wrestling die?
A little bit, but we can also, that overarching question.
All right.
Sub question: are there, if your answer is wrestling will not die, are there things about wrestling now that will, and that will be like what do you think? What things do you think will not be in the product 30 years from now? Right, like we used to have the thing where they'd raise the arm and drop it.
Sure, yeah,
like little
yeah,
weird like tropes and stuff that would happen during wrestling matches. Is there, if do you think wrestling has a shelf life? First of all, let's just start there.
I mean, all things die. I don't know if. I think we are in a world now where things are. It is harder for things to die because everything is so stratted out that there are less people that make a decision that now this is just gone. Right?
Yeah.
Like back in the day, if USA and TNT decided, nah, wrestling's gross, we don't like it anymore, and all the rest of the networks were like, no, we don't like it either, then it's done. It's over. It's finished. Now, with the internet, there's a million people literally just filming their face. So why not something else with any kind of production value?
Yeah.
I think it would die if, number one, the art form kind of goes out of style. That there's something that is that people find repugnant about it, or gross, or immoral about it, and that is something that eventually could happen, I guess.
I mean, if you think about, I think about things like smoking, right? Whereas smoking was like everybody smoked in the 50s, right? Like everybody.
Yeah.
You'd see commercials or just casually smoking, like in a movie. It was kind of like if a doctor would be in his doctor's office, like smoking a cigarette, looking over your chart and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
And at a certain point, the kind of court of public opinion sways the other direction, says, no, this is terrible. We should stop having it everywhere. And now you see like people who smoked for years get older, and generally most of them just quit at a certain point, right? And a lot of kids just don't start.
Yeah.
Now, as compared to what it used to be like. So yeah, I think it has to be like something like that, where the court of public opinion says we don't like violence on our television set, and we don't even like the depiction of violence, right? Like think about that segment with the Bludgeon Brothers beating up the New Day and the Usos.
Yeah.
Like, that was violent as hell, man. I mean,
well, and Xavier sold that back injury like he just got his spine severed, like that.
Sure,
and
we look at it as wrestling fans, and we understand that they are taking bumps that are real, but they're willingly doing so, right? So we're not as horrified, I guess, by it, right? Whereas, like, if you saw a human like physically trying to murder another human for real, and you didn't know that there was any kind of contract between the two, it would be it'd be much more horrifying. It would be something that I would not want to watch. I would not want to look at. I mean, some people have been kind of drawn to violence forever. I mean, World Star is there for a reason.
World Star.
But I feel like that's really how it gets there. Is that we get to a point where the attitude has to kind of shift, though. I think, because I don't think that you can take shocking things off of our television entertainment. I think it's when society shifts to be like, we'd rather have sex on our TV than violence on our TV.
Yeah.
So I think there's like kind of two things that have to happen. It's like it's like a huge shift, because right now,
so violence becoming just abhorrent. It's just a thing that is ghost, disgusting, immoral to watch any kind of depiction of it, let alone anything that resembles it.
Yeah, and a society that like reflects that as well, right? Like I would even think that the penalties for violence go way up, right? Like
immediate death for anyone who throws a punch.
Sure, yeah. Let's go like Star Trek, that like perfect little world where they all wear like little barely nothings, and if you fall over a bush, then they sentence you to death. Yeah. Like we kind of go into that version of
world,
of Earth, where it's just like, oh no, like, oh, did you hit somebody? Oh, that's it, you're done.
That's it, it's over.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man, that is a great philosophical question. All right, we are desperately out of time in my best Tony Schiavone, so we are going to save the melodica for next week because I don't have it queued up. But, Willie, where can people find you?
Check me out on twitch.tv/WillieDills, and on Twitter I am at WillieDills. I'll be playing a lot of the new arena. It's weird. It's interesting. The power levels of the decks are through the roof, so yeah, come check me out there. Watch some of that Hearthstone.
What is your initial impression of the new expansion, Witchwood?
Oh, the Witchwood looks really cool so far. We've only seen a couple of cards, so there's not a lot to really dive into. But I'm not seeing anything I don't like. That's for sure.
Yeah, rush mechanic's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is very cool.
I think it's very
a fantastic way to handle the problems that charge brings about.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. All right, folks, you can always find me twitch.tv/Justin R. Young. But until next time,
I want you to call me.
We will see you guys next week on 190 Wrestling. Be dialing.
Stupid idiots.
They call me Hara.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.